Hello, everyone. Welcome to Boss Rush After Dark, the alternative podcast show for Boss Rush Network. I am LeRon Dawkins, and everybody's here tonight. Including a special guest. You guys ready?
Nope.
Ready. Bring
I'm not ready.
Buckle up.
I'm special.
Wow. We knew that
All
a
right.
long time ago.
All right, helping me lead the charge tonight is the one, the only wonderful lady boss of the Boss Rush writing team, better known as Stephanie Klemob. Hello, girl. What's up?
Hey, good night. Hi. Oh, good night sounds weird. Sounds like I'm saying goodbye, but I'm having a good night. Are you having a good night?
Sounds like when you're done with a one night stand and somebody just rolls over and says good night and they disappear in the morning.
Yep, that's me.
Yep.
Corey just reliving trauma.
Oh God, so many things. It's fine. I'm okay.
Hey, After Dark brings it out. That's all I'm going to say.
Please don't listen to the 2 or 3 episodes ago. That's all I have to say.
And back with us again, as always, is the wonderful Corey Derrick. What's up, dude?
I'm here and I am okay. I promise everybody I'm just fine. There is not a knife sitting on my desk anymore. So. Hey, I fixed my shift key, okay? It works now.
I
don't know if I'm a special guest or if I'm held captive. Just don't believe him.
Well, I hope you're prepared for our shenanigans. I hope you are. Joining us tonight is Matt Kiel, better known as Infinite Rewind. Anyone that knows him out there in the Twitterverse. Welcome,
Yes.
man. How's it going?
It's dark out, and speaking on what Stephanie said about saying good night. I'm a radiologic technologist, and I'm in the OR a lot. And if you're ever a rad tech and you are in the OR and the surgeon is very good, they will talk about everything else except their surgery. They are almost on autopilot. And there's this one spinal surgeon who is wonderful. I'm not going to say his name just because,
God, is this going to turn into a story last week?
He decided there was one spine case that took like 5 hours. So I'm standing there at a CR for 5 hours with this doctor. And at one point for like 3 of those hours, he was trying to come up with new wild ways to start conversations. So he's like, you know what? Instead of saying hello or good morning or hi, how you doing? I'm just going to start my conversations with peace.
There you go.
Peace.
Okay.
That would definitely throw people off.
Oh yeah, for real.
It
Yeah.
did. And my dude pulled it off for like 2 solid months. And I'm like, still doing that, huh? He's like, oh, you were there. So I don't have to explain it to you. I'm like, yeah, I was there.
Wow. Peace.
Doctors
He
are
just
funny.
stopped?
Oh yeah, he stopped it. I think eventually his chief was like, dude, just stop. It's not funny anymore. It was. In fact, I'm not sure it was ever funny. We get it. You're good at your job. You're very smart. You're kind of brilliant. Just say hello.
Just
Well,
say hello.
There, that saying about people who are, brilliant. There's just a little bit of, a couple of loose screws up there.
Sure.
In a good way.
That's
Good
100% true. Well, I mean, I think I've never been to medical school. I'm very good friends with people who have been. And I feel like medical school and becoming a doctor, there's a certain amount of abuse that comes along with that, and that trauma manifests in many different ways later on.
Yep. I don't have an MD. I have a PharmD, and I would say that that's kind of like a fraction of that mental abuse, like organic chemistry. It broke a lot of brains.
Oh yeah. I thought about pharmacy for a while, and then I took pharmacology. I'm like, nope.
Good call, man. Good call.
I'll just take pictures that go through people. Thank you very much.
This is
Public service announcement. Don't become a pharmacist, guys. Don't go to pharmacy school.
This is why I majored in art. The most body parts I ever saw was just a naked person sitting in a chair. So,
I have nothing to say for that. I really don't.
To be fair, I've seen that outside of art class too, but it's just.
Oh yeah.
Have you
Yeah,
though?
so-
I don't believe you.
You're right. The lights are usually off. Mostly because I'm ugly, not because the other person is ugly.
Oh.
Or drunk, or both. Oh, this got real weird real fast. It's okay. At least he didn't. At least he didn't.
I feel like it gets. I feel like After Dark gets really weird as soon as you open your mouth, Corey. I really do.
Yeah.
Fair.
Well, see, when you say that, it reminded me of the ball sack story. So maybe someday I can share that.
Look, at least Matt didn't describe a penis surgery for a half hour the way that Stoy did last week.
Well, no, they won't bring X-ray into that, like, because if you take an X-ray of the scrotal area, it just goes through it. There's no bone there, despite what people think. That's all blood.
You're telling me the term boner is misleading?
Yes, 100% super is.
Wow.
Although I will say, I have had a child, because I've had parents come into the ER and you have to X-ray a pelvis for whatever reason, and I have to hold their kid, who is like 4 or 5, and we don't want them to run around the X-ray room and get exposed to radiation. Yeah. And I took a picture of their parents' pelvis, and the kid goes, "Where's the penis bone?" I'm like, "There's no penis bone."
Where's the penis bone?
God.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
So,
where's the penis bone?
Oh God. Wow.
Kids are hilarious, by the way. They
really are.
They're 100% hilarious.
It's funny. It's
Very
funny
true.
because, God, I hope first of all, I hope my mom doesn't listen to the show anyways, but I hope she doesn't.
Hi,
listen.
Mrs. Deerig.
She does. She listens sometimes to the other shows, but I just won't tell her
Keep
about
this one in the dark.
Yeah.
Ew.
Oh God. No.
Oh,
well,
boy.
our big joke is the way my mom says my dad's name. She's like, Dan, and then my daughter's, we like make fun of it how she says it, and my daughter is just like Dan, and she doesn't understand like that we're making fun of it, and sometimes my wife and I say to each other, we're just like, don't be a Linda, and then my daughter said it the other day.
Wow.
So it's funny.
Children be sponges.
Yeah, she.
Yeah.
Oh, what did she say the other day that was really funny? She said something really hilarious the other day that like kids shouldn't say, but you just laugh because a child said it. I wish I could remember.
Well, you got to write that stuff down. I actually have like a little quote book of the funniest shit my kid says, because it's really freaking hilarious. And most of the time I have to like work real hard, wicked hard, to not laugh in front of him, because like then I'd be encouraging bad behavior, but it's funny as fuck. Like one time he was at daycare and he just had, a rough couple of days like every human being does. And so one day the teacher comes out and says, Nikolai had an off day with his friends. I'm like, okay, what happened? And she goes, well, Nikolai called his friend a fool and told him to walk away. And I thought that was the funniest thing in the world. Like that, I can picture my kid like pointing, but like, fool, walk away. And but I'm like, okay, and I was just laughing hysterically on the inside. But like,
I could just see you looking at that person going, respect.
Exactly. But I had to like say, oh, Nikolai, don't call your friends fools. But I was like secretly high-fiving him, like a mental high five.
That's hilarious. That's so funny. Oh man, this show gets better every time.
I know, right? And you know what? Since it's about that time, we should go ahead and do just our identifier. This is Boss Rush After Dark, the new show from Boss Rush Network, where each and every week we get together with our friends and discuss and debate topics aimed more towards our adult audience, ranging from dating to life tragedies to relationships, travel, you name it. Like, it's just something that, we just want to talk about. We just want to talk about it.
COVID.
We got. Oh yeah. Oh God. Our rant last week on COVID. Oh boy.
God.
Man, it had to be done. It had to be done. We had to get it out of our system because we're sick and tired of being sick and tired.
And you know what? We'll probably talk about it again. Dan was like, "When can I go on After Dark to talk about COVID?" I'm like, "Anytime you want, bro."
We want it. All right. If you're listening out there, you can definitely get the show early on Patreon, which is patreon.com/Boss Network every Saturday, or hit us up on YouTube or podcast services or our website 2 weeks later from the time of this recording. Leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Remember, you can find all of our content on bossrush.net. All right, everyone.
Yeah, one of the Patreon benefits include a picture of LeRon with no sleeves. So
yeah, that's at the.
Well,
20
that's how you get me. Fine.
It's $25.
premium content.
No. Every dollar you donate, the sleeves just get shorter and shorter and shorter. The $10 level, there's no sleeves, and then just every dollar, there's just no strap here. It's just like a waistband.
You get to the $100 mark, and it's just like a collar.
Yeah, it's just like one ripped sleeve, shoulder sleeve here, and it's draped down. And he's like,
"Yeah, I feel like I do owe. I feel like I do owe our patrons an apology tonight because I am fully decked out tonight.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
Like the only skin that's shown right now is my forearm, and that's not sexy."
Yeah. So please, guys, throw some dollar bills.
I'm here to offer you some pasty white non-muscular biceps.
I mean, I've been going to the gym lately, but this is why I'm wearing long sleeves today. So just a weird-looking pasty white dude who just.
I don't go to the gym at all. Can you tell?
I tell you, we got to hurry and get Stoy back on the show. So it's more of a Stephanie Stoy and myself being sexy on here.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it.
Dude, yeah, come on, man. Come on. Stephanie was the reason why you even started going back to the gym. Apparently she's embarrassed.
Look, if she wouldn't have sent a picture of her 12-pack in our chat, then I wouldn't have felt...
With the pole.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
That was the point. I went to pole class, all right?
Yeah, because that makes it better.
You know what? You know what? Talking about pole, I have a topic for tonight.
God.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
What did your boyfriend do this weekend?
Negativity, Corey.
What did your boyfriend do this weekend, LeRon?
Corey fixes his shift key, then all of a sudden LeRon has a pole. What are we in now?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. So we've all done things. We've all done things to attract the people that we're sexually attracted to and stuff like that.
Have we?
So what is one of the most outrageous things that you've done to actually attract somebody's attention? And did it work? Did it work?
I mean, I lost 140 pounds.
Damn, son.
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, though. Obviously, I found a few of them. Just collected them back. I'm a collector. I'm a weight collector. No, but there was like when I came from school, from Columbus, long story short, I met a girl in one of my classes, one of my night classes, and I thought she was really hot. And so I started going to the gym and, I went grocery shopping. So what I did was I looked up Hugh Jackman's Wolverine workout and diet, and I did it. And from Valentine's Day to mid-June, I lost 138 pounds.
Hey,
damn.
Hey, did that work?
That's not the sneeze at, though.
Yeah, it definitely worked. I mean, she said she would have anyway, but I was like, oh well, whoops. Whatever. I feel better now. So I don't feel like I'm going to die. I don't feel like I'm going to die going upstairs. So yeah. Because like
that's awesome.
When I was playing football in college, I weighed, the highest I weighed was 358 pounds, and I got all the way down to 219. I think was my lowest.
Dude, kill it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's not that. I'm gonna try though. I'm gonna try again.
Okay.
Not that hard.
Okay.
Not that hard.
Okay. that was actually pretty impressive. Wasn't kind of what I was going for. So here,
Oh,
let me.
sorry, LeRon. It was a
pick up
workout
the-
story. I thought you would have been impressed.
I am impressed.
Whatever. Nope.
I am impressed.
I'm
but
editing
just
it
didn't
out.
go
I got to find a new
it just
story.
didn't go
I'll
the
tell
direction.
another one later.
It just didn't go the direction I thought it was going to go. That's all. So how about this?
What did you want
How
me to
about
say? What were you expecting, LeRon? Tell me a story that you were expecting.
I'm guessing he was expecting us to embarrass ourselves for the object of our affection.
That was the actual question.
Oh.
I don't have like an embarrassing like instance, but I have some examples that led into funny stories and shenanigans.
Okay, all right.
But
How
I think you were gonna tell us something, LeRon,
Here-
as I cut you off.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. When girls embarrass themselves, it's cute. When guys embarrass themselves, they just look like jackasses. Okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Well,
I've seen some women get pretty ratchet for some dudes, Corey.
I mean, look.
I was gonna say.
Hey.
okay,
you know,
all right.
I've seen some
So-
pretty weird shit from girls too, because I worked in a restaurant for 12 years. So that should tell you all
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly. I was a DJ
But also-
at a sports bar. I saw some women do some stupid shit for attention.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Point made.
Here we go. Here we go.
I don't care if the Bears win
that
with
was-
shots.
Look, I'm trying to forget a lot of the years I worked at the restaurant, so apologies if I blocked all that out of my mind.
All right, LeRon, what do you got?
All right. So when I was in the military, still in the military at that, I was dating a girl, and little did I know that this will wind up being the woman that I almost wound up getting married to. But at the time, we were just in that dating, casual flirting phase, and so one night back at her place, we were just chilling. You know, it was one of those weird ass weekends where we had like way too much energy and all that stuff. So I can't remember if we were playing like Truth or Dare, or if we were just daring each other to do stuff, right? But basically,
That's how it
but
starts.
basically, I was like, you know what? Like, it's really time for me to like shoot my shot and see what happens. So I was just like, okay, we're gonna just start daring each other to do stuff, and let's see how wild it gets. Well, I was dared to wear some of her underwear.
Oh God. Here we go.
Nice.
Oh my gosh!
Are there
I love when
pictures?
that comes up. That's my favorite.
No, there's no pictures. No, there's no pictures.
Is this
No,
like
they
is this
don't want
like
pic-
it's like that episode of Friends where Chandler
this
is
is-
dating that girl and she convinces him to wear ladies' clothes and then she leaves him in the bathroom with them on and steals all his clothes.
Oh God, no, nothing like that happened. Nothing like that happened. But so basically the way it came out is because like we got to a point where we were daring each other so much that we were starting to say like, okay, like here's some things that we won't do. And so she was basically like, oh well, how about I call your bluff and do something that will definitely take you out of your comfort zone. So she goes to the bedroom and she comes back out and she's got it was in her purse. Well, more like a backpack. So I was like, okay, what's this? I'm sitting there thinking that she's gonna pull out something that, you know, like I may not be able to get down with. So she's like, okay. She's like, I want you to open this bag. I want you to look in there and tell me what you think. So I open the bag up. I look in there and I'm seeing some black lacy panties.
And then she just goes, put them on.
That's essentially what happened because I looked at her. I was like, okay, I like this. Where are we going with it? And she's like, I think you should put those on. And I looked at her for a second. I was like, for real? And she's like, yeah, for real. I was like, well, what's in it for me if I put those on? And she's like, well, maybe use your imagination, you know. So I'm sitting there as a 22-year-old Navy guy, and I'm sitting there like, am I really about to go there, you know, for this woman that, you know, like I've only like, you know, gone out with like 3 times, but, you know, haven't made it to like third base yet. So I was like, okay. I was like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. So I took the bag with me, and I go to the bathroom, and I remember this well. Like I was in the bathroom for like long enough to where she was like, "Are you coming out?" So at that point, I was like, "Okay, do or die."
You're like, "No,
So,
I'm shaving."
Oh God.
At that point, I was like, do or die. So like, I go ahead and put them on. But for some strange reason, I was so embarrassed. I still kept my T-shirt on, like the shirt I was wearing on, and stuff like that. So here I come out of the bathroom, and she immediately just busts out laughing. And so I'm sitting here thinking that, like I must look like an absolute fool. And she's like, "You could have at least took the shirt off." So
And you're like, "No, I have to keep you guessing a little bit.
So here I am.
I don't want you to know that I have 3 nipples. Thank you very much."
So here I am in her living room in her underwear and just a pair of my socks.
God.
Business
Wow.
time.
Wow.
The socks. That's it.
And yeah. Obviously, I was the MVP for the night because like the big score happened. But you know what's funny about this whole story though? I actually kind of like the way it felt.
What is it like? Was it a G-string or?
No, it wasn't a G-string. It was just regular. It was just regular, like I guess like the briefs equivalent of underwear, basically.
Okay.
It felt nice though. It felt nice. At that point in my life, I'd never felt anything that soft and racy against my skin down there. At that point in my life,
Soft and racy. That sounds.
I mean, at that point, just pretend it's just playtime. Just have fun.
oh yeah. It definitely led to like
now.
It definitely led to real playtime.
Never been in that situation, but if I would, I'd turn into that scene in Wayne's World where Wayne starts singing "Happy Birthday, Mr. President" while Tia Carrero's on the phone. Like that's exactly what I would do.
Wow.
I remember just being so far in my headspace, and she enjoyed it, but it was like eventually when she figured out that I was really like anxious about it and everything, like she definitely like talked me down, like to the point where I wasn't like about to wig the hell out and stuff like that, because it was just something for me like I hadn't gotten an appreciation of gender bending. So it was just one of those things where I was definitely outside of my comfort zone, but I was embarrassed. But at the same time, I was like, you know what, I might get lucky if I do this. So it was one of those situations where like little head was definitely like talking up the bigger head.
You ever?
I just imagine this. We're after dark. You're gonna go with me on this one. I just imagine Corey doing that, but instead he has a red backwards hat and he starts singing "Nookie" by Limp Bizkit.
Don't tip me. I will shave this beard down to just like this in the soul patch, and I will dye it blonde. I'll do it. Don't tip me.
Good.
I've actually thought about filming our YouTube.
Patreon tier is that?
I mean, the first one's free. Okay. Every song after Nookie costs some money. God, you guys ever sit here?
You get LeRon, and he could do the Method Man one with you.
Oh God! Look, you guys ever sit here and like when these episodes start going live for free feeds, and the rest of Boss Rush starts listening to these episodes, what they're gonna think of us? Be like, these are our leaders. What are they doing? Oh my God!
Role models.
What are you talking about? They were begging us to start a show like this, and now they won't even come on the goddamn show.
I'm aware. We're the only ones brave enough to show our nipples. Just kidding.
Okay.
Where were we going?
Well,
you want the Fred Durst experience, Matt? Okay.
I shared my stupid story.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't call it stupid. I think that one like already gets the gold medal. I don't think any story is going to beat that for the night. But
God.
No.
Well, the fact that I was wearing women's lingerie to get laid,
and it worked too.
It did work. It did work. Yeah. So I guess I pulled it off.
Stephanie, you ever wear guys' clothes?
Yeah, but it's not the same.
I know it's definitely not the same.
You know. Here's one thing I will say. Women are damn sexy wearing our underwear. They are.
To be fair, anything that they wear is just okay in my book. Just gonna throw that out there.
Even like a lumpy sweatshirt and baggy sweatpants.
Especially.
My favorite
Right,
favorite thing used to be like baggy sweatpants and like a tight like what a wife beater equivalent. I don't know what they're called. Just that used to
Tank
be
top?
like that. Thank you. I couldn't think of it. Look, I'm all hyped up because it's after dark and I actually slept okay last night. Okay, I'm good to go. I am good to go. But yeah, that used to like really, really do it for me. Just like, I don't know why. It's not like the sexiest thing you've ever seen, but like, just totally did it for me.
Hey, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
Let's see, a couple things. Well, I'll tell you one thing that I did not do. My first boyfriend ever in high school, it was not a healthy relationship, but we're both immature and we've all kind of been there. And he kind of contributed to some of my body image issues I had at the time. And he would always say, ironically enough, because I think most guys would say the opposite thing, but he said my legs weren't thick enough because he liked women with like thick. He liked thicker women, like gymnast thighs, like big muscular legs. I don't know, it was weird. And you'd always tell me that, like, your legs are too skinny. You need thick muscular legs. And I'm like, fuck you, I'm not doing anything about it. So that's one thing I did not do. I was like, no. But
I am who I am, and retrospectively, kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's see. For a funny story, okay, so I lived in Boston for a few years, like the actual city of Boston, and one of my apartments that I had was above a bar, like essentially, like I'd have to walk across a
the
side
Boston
street.
Experience.
Yes. And I really, really liked the bartender there. He was an Irish, like off the boat Irish guy. So he's got the accent. It was clearly the accent that did it in for me. And I was in college. I did drink, but I didn't like drink to his level because he's your stereotypical Irish person. But I like kind of tried to play cool and casual and be this crazy drinker just to get his attention. And he would send me free drinks and I'd pretend to like them, whatever. So I don't know if like that's not me doing something crazy necessarily. Like I didn't get on a table and start dancing, but I did kind of stretch and say like I'm more of a party girl than I really was. I really wasn't. I honestly would just go down there and watch sports because I was too poor to afford cable. That was really why I was there. So eventually he got my number and asked me out. And my friend at the time was very concerned that I was just going out with a guy that liked to party. She was just worried for me as a young...
looking out for you, yeah.
And he told me to meet me at his apartment in Southie. For those that are not familiar with Southie, yeah, it's like a rough part of town, Anyway, and I went over...
all those Ben Affleck movies are set.
Yeah, and so I went to his apartment and I met his roommate there, and they were just all smoking weed and drinking. And look, they both left. I was in the middle of telling my story. LeRon, please tell me you're paying attention.
I am paying attention. I am paying attention.
I'm
curious though. What the hell? You know what? We'll find out what the hell drove them away in a moment.
It's all right. I was like, oh, here I am, I'm dragging. So the first thing my friend warned me is, never drink anything that you don't see being made in front of you.
True, definitely.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right, I promise. I really will. So when I got to his apartment, he wanted to fix me a drink before we went to the bar. I guess that's your whole pre-gaming thing. See, I even in college, I wasn't used to pre-gaming. I just honestly wasn't that much of a partier. I did go to parties, but not to that extent. He goes to the kitchen and makes me a Red Bull and vodka and comes back. And I'm like, okay, my ex-roommate's voice is in my head. Don't drink anything that you didn't see made in front of you. I'm sure it wasn't spiked, but I was just following my friend's advice. So throughout like the amount of time I was there, I casually went back and forth in the kitchen to pour a little bit out each time. And eventually I poured out the entire thing. And then I was so proud of myself because I was so stealthy about it. I tried to text her, hey, I dumped that guy's drink down the sink.
Uh-oh.
And I sent it to him by accident.
Uh-oh.
And as soon as I saw his phone go off with my name on it, I like ripped the phone out of his hand. He goes, what's going on? And I'm like, nothing. And I tried to delete it. I don't know if he read it though. But he still wanted to take me out to the bar. So I'm like, okay. And he took me to an Irish bar, like a legit Irish bar. Like everyone in there is from Ireland. And so much drinking. Like I could not keep up. I knew that if I drank to the extent they were drinking, I'd end up at the hospital.
Yeah.
So like, the bartender was kind of on my side and was like diluting my drinks and giving me water. And it got to the point where like, I'm just trying to ride it out before I went home because it was very uncomfortable. So I was just kind of talking to his friend instead because apparently all his friends were there. So super romantic date. And the friend wasn't hitting on me and I wasn't hitting on him. I was just being nervous and making small talk with other people. But apparently the guy didn't like it. So they started a fist fight. A drunken fist fight.
Wait. The guy that was trying to impress you?
The date.
Oh, the date. Yeah.
The friend was totally innocent. He wasn't hitting on me. We were just talking. But the date started a fist fight. And then the bartender had to jump over the bar to stop the fist fight.
Holy shit.
And I don't wait outside. And then, after a while, we all left. And then on the way out, that same friend who was like well over 200 pounds jumps on my back and screams, hey, Stephanie, I'm a crackhead. And my knees buckled and I'm like, I need to call a cab.
Wow.
Days before rideshare were wild, huh?
Oh, God.
Yeah. And it was more about the dating fail story, but like that's what I get for trying to pretend to be a party person and going out with another party person. It does not compute for me. I just couldn't survive that night.
Yeah. Wow.
Woof.
Man, partying was not something that I was super into, but I was always like the responsible one. I mean, I think we've talked about it earlier, but I think I can count on like one hand how many times I've been drunk, like really drunk. I don't know. A lot happened to the point where like I just was, I don't know. I always had to make sure like friends were okay, I guess. But I've definitely witnessed those types of situations before. So yeah.
I mean, I've had some crazy nights in college. They just thankfully weren't too many, and I luckily had friends that kind of watched over me and took care of me, and I learned my lesson real quick that's kind of I got myself in a lot of precarious situations and I needed to be rescued from, so
It's fair. Good times.
So I'm gonna be the party pooper here.
Oh, party pooper.
Aw.
You grew facial hair for your wife.
Damn.
And
Damn.
it only took me a decade. No, I don't remember any real stupid things I've done to impress somebody. Granted, my first wife met it. Hang on, Reba, before you come in here. I got married in 2007 to my first wife, but we had been together since like 2002. Damn near 19 years ago. So like when I was doing my prime like dating stuff, I don't remember all of that just because it's 20 years ago. In between my first wife and my lovely wife, who is standing before me, putting me in a hostage situation, I remember being part of some really awkward dates that I'm like, I feel like this is a problem if I stick around. Now, I said I don't remember anything. Clearly, my wife has some other thoughts, so I will allow you.
Tell Reba it's just me.
It's no. She knows I'm lying, Corey. So, Reba, what did I do that was stupid?
Impress me?
Yeah.
I didn't think you like bourbon.
I did that, yeah, but now I actually like bourbon, so that lie
That was
actually
5 years ago.
that lie worked eventually.
That lie worked.
I actually like bourbon.
What else did I do? Did I do anything else?
Stupid doing that.
Yeah.
He's listening intently.
See, because I remembered like saying I liked bourbon when I actually didn't, because you seemed like very smart and intellectual, and I want to be like, maybe we can have a common ground here. That lie lasted like a week.
Matt's like, there's alcohol in it, so I might like it.
I mean, I remember the dumb stuff I did on our second date, like spilling my drink all over myself.
We were drinking bourbon that you don't like.
No,
On second and third dates, we spent drinking bourbon.
yeah,
You really lived a lie.
I did. I tried. I
And then you
tried.
spilled. No, yeah, you spilled bourbon all over yourself.
Yeah. And then she kissed me, and then we're still together.
Aw.
Joke's on you.
Aw. Aw.
But did I? Okay, here's a question. Not just this, because I actually don't remember. Have I ever worn any of your underwear? I have. Okay, I don't remember this.
Oh wow, you were blackout drunk.
No, I just don't remember. My memory's bad, LeRon.
Oh, okay.
To be fair, I'm surprised you remembered your
I will
name.
remember weird, obscure shit about music, movies, and games, but I won't remember what happened yesterday. So, apparently, I have worn my wife's underwear,
Just in the bedroom.
and
Just in the bedroom.
I did lie to her saying I liked bourbon when I did not.
You only did it to make me laugh, though.
Of course, I did it to make you laugh. Why else would I do it?
Because it feels good.
It does feel good, Stephanie. You're not wrong.
Oh man, good
Love
times.
But I can relate to like also the whole dating fails thing too. I mean, that's less about crazy things that you've done. Like another situation, I wasn't in Boston anymore, but I also lived in an apartment above a bar. I think there's a trend here.
Trends.
If I see an apartment above a bar, I'm gonna be like, Stephanie live here.
Yeah, at some point. I on my way back home from like either work or going to a friend's house, there'd be people smoking outside the bar. And there's one girl, she like all of a sudden like comes up to me like, I've seen you before. I'm like, that's because I live here and you are clearly a regular at the bar. And she decided to invite me to her friend's birthday party that was down in the bar area. Like then like we went on a date at the bar, but little did I know that she was definitely a handful. So when I was on the date with her at the bar, she was overserved. She drank a lot, but she was one of those people when you drink a lot, they start stuff, right? Like they were outside smoking and I was just hanging out with her just because we were on the date, and she just decided
Filling the gas tank, as it were.
Yes. And
Yeah.
she decided to pick a fight with this really tall, massive dude. And she was about to like start punching the guy out. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I live right above here. I don't need to be involved with this. So I had to like go run down and like find the owner and tell him what's going on. And she like kept trying to fight people. And I'm like,
I'm not part of this. I just live here. I want to go home.
Yeah, so that I had to get out of there for.
Yes, no. Fair.
Jeez.
I got a dating fail if you want.
Okay.
Share it.
So, this is probably a year before I met Reba. I was on Bumble, I believe. Start talking to a girl. She wants to meet me at a bar in Philly. There's a section called Northern Liberties. It's supposedly the up and coming. It was supposedly the up and coming section of the city for a long time. Now, tiny apartments there are very stupid expensive, and people like to go there. We meet at this bar. I'm there probably about 20 minutes before she shows up, and so I'm having a drink, just waiting, and the bartender asked me if I got stood up. I go, no, I think she's just running late. She texted me. It's fine. And then I look out the window. I see her coming in the door. I'm like, oh, I'll go up and greet her. And there's a couple of stairs inside the door, and she just eats it.
Oh, no.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, shit, that sucks. But out of her purse fall more than 10 multicolored condoms.
Oh.
She had plans. She had plans for you.
So I'm like trying to. I'm like, okay, let's just be an adult here. I'll help her get herself together, get herself up. And she's like, thank you. That was very nice of you. I'm like, okay, let's get you a drink because that's why we are here. And she's like, yes. She orders a drink. I say, put it on my tab to the bartender to make sure she knows we're together. And bartender goes, serves a drink. We cheers. She takes a big old drink. And then she tells me to pick a color.
Oh.
Ah.
Okay.
And I'm like, what now? And she's like, what did you think this was? I go, a date where two adults get to know each other and see if they are compatible. And she's like, no, I'm a modern woman. We don't do that anymore. I'm like,
I'm a
Whoa.
modern woman. Damn.
I'm like, I know. And at this point, I am 36 or 37. So I'm not young, but I'm not, I definitely old now because I'm in my 40s. But I didn't think I was old then. I'm like, am I that out of touch? Like, this was, I don't really do that. And she's like, what? She's like, what? You don't like sex? I go, I didn't say that. I go, I don't really do the whole hookup thing. Like, can't we just have some drinks, maybe get some dinner and see where the night goes? She's like, no, I got places I gotta be.
Oh,
Whoa.
God.
I'm like, okay. I look at the bartender and I'm like, check, please. This woman chugs her drink, storms out, clearly unhappy with the situation. Bartender like, so what happened? I'm like, well, you saw her. She ate shit. Condoms fell out of her purse, and she told me to pick a color. And she's like, why didn't you pick a color? I'm like, because I'm not here to do that. She's like, it's okay. She's a regular. She does that all the time.
Oh. Oh.
I'm like, all right. Then
How many? First of all, how many colors do they come in?
more than 5.
Jesus Christ!
And I'm just kind of just completely at a loss with the whole situation. I'm like, I think I'm just gonna have another beer. And she's like, this one's on me, and the bartender gave me her number. Now we ended up going out, having a nice time, and it just didn't work out. We just weren't compatible. But that was funny.
Hell yeah.
But
yeah. Apparently, I'm not a modern woman either.
yeah, I mean, who knows what it could. Look, I'm not going to say that what this woman was doing was right, wrong, or whatever. But while I was doing the whole dating thing, I did meet a couple of women who were just into doing the one night thing, and they were very clear about it. They're like, look, I don't really care. If we're going to go back to your place, that's cool. Or you can come back to mine. That's cool too. But this is probably going to be it. I'm like, fine.
Yeah.
Let's at least enjoy a meal. And then we did the thing, parted ways. It was lovely. Very good relationships because everybody knew what the score was. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up finding that in a wife because I always know what the score is with my wife. And we're a very good partnership. And I love it. So it is possible.
It's true, man. I that story reminds me of a story of where I used to work, and it was
condom store. No,
Close, a restaurant. No, there's this one girl that was working there, and she was a server, and I was like, she was cute, and like we started talking and hanging out and stuff or whatever. We went out with the restaurant crowd always just goes out after work to drink or whatever, and then we would just
To drink more, essentially.
yeah, and then we would just leave like from there to go home or whatever. And one night after work, she invited me to because we had been like talking but not like going out on dates or anything. She's like, hey, do you want to come over and like
We liked each other, but we didn't like each other.
no, it was like that weird stage beforehand where like you both know you kind of have a thing for each other, but you don't really act on it because you're always like in public with other people, and you're just like the secret kind of, I don't know. That was like a early to mid 20s thing that was. Anyways,
I mean, what I called it is the inability to ask a woman out, because that was a big thing for me. I just couldn't do it for a long time. It took me.
I had that inability too.
Mm-hmm.
So
and if for some reason things between Reba and I ended, I don't know if I could do it now. But anyway, continue, Corey.
one night we went out after work, and everybody, it was someone's birthday or some I don't remember what it was. Some day where people decide they like to drink more than they usually do. And she we were. It
was New Year's Eve because you were drinking with hats on.
No, I did have a hat on, but no.
Of course you did.
No, she just straight up at the bar just like kissed me and was like, "Hey, you want to get out of here?" I'm like, "Sure, why not?" And so
I'm low on gas and you need a jacket.
God. So we went back to her house, and like it was the opposite of Matt, where I proceeded to not pick a color because they were all the same color. But then but then when we were done, like she was just like, "Hey, I got to get up early. Can you go?" I was like, yeah, sure. She's like, "Yeah, I got to pick up my kid from her dad's." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, that was cool." That was it. That was it. That was the end.
Okay.
Nice. Well, since we kind of got onto that, LeRon, have you had any funny dating fails?
I'm really racking my brain here. I want to say no, because like I was
all success all the time. Everything
no,
goes
it
smooth.
was not all success. I can say that for sure, because like I've been stood up more times than I've actually been on for real dates with different people. I always wind up falling in that weird situation where like the failure to ask somebody out on a date. That's one thing. That's one thing. I'm awkward, which is funny because, like the moment I wind up like dating or actually in a relationship with somebody, all of a sudden all these people show up and it was like, hey, I would have dated you if you'd said something. I was like, have we met? Like, I am socially awkward. I'm not gonna ask you. I'm not gonna shoot my shot first. It's stuff like that. So yeah, I haven't had any real dating fails. I have been on some dates where like you can tell like halfway through dinner like it just fizzles out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't really had any like really embarrassing like date stories.
Lucky you.
Yeah, no, like I just crashed and burned. That's all.
Oh, well, here's another one. Shockingly, at the same bar. I won't say like who and how this relationship did or did not develop, but there's a person I had met, went on a couple dates with them, so it was like probably the third or fourth date, and I was feeling kind of lazy, and I was like, well, why don't we just come over to the bar that's near my place, and I knew the bar, obviously the bartender knows me because I'm a regular. I go down there every night. So him and I are pretty chummy, the bartender. So the date comes to the bar. We have like an hour, a good time, because I think he had to be somewhere. He had to go to work or go somewhere. I don't know what the fuck. Just anyway.
Mhm.
So we have the date. It was fine. He leaves. Then I just continue to sit at the bar. I was happy with the date. And the bartender goes, I think that dude's married. I'm like, what you talking about?
Whoa.
And I'm like, he's not wearing a wedding ring, and there's no tan line. He goes, I don't know. I know someone who works with him, and I'm pretty sure he's married. I'm like, well, he didn't tell me that, and I just kind of dismissed it and whatever. So when I leave the bar, I text him. I'm like, hey, funny thing, the bartender said you were married. Isn't that hilarious? And he goes, let me call you when I get out of work.
Oh.
Hot damn.
He was married, so I was not very happy with that. I don't play that game.
Now here's something funny. Like I already admitted, like I have a hard time making the first move, right? But I'm always thrown off. I am always thrown off by women who advance, but advance very quickly. like I had when it got to a point where I started being a little more free and forthcoming with women about being bisexual, because like that's a thing. Like women have a hard time dealing with bisexual men for some strange reason. Like I haven't quite understood the psychology behind it. Like I'm starting to get it, but I still don't understand completely. But when I got to the point where I was getting more comfortable with letting women know that I was bisexual, this woman that nice woman and everything, it just wasn't really my type and stuff like that. So man, when I tell you, like she began to shoot her shot. And it was cool. I was flattered and everything, but I really wasn't interested in her. So I was trying all these nice ways of letting her know, like I'm not into it. And so ultimately I was like, okay, you know what? I gotta do it. I'm gonna pull the bisexual card out on her, right? So she was just asking me these questions. And I was like, well, I appreciate everything you're saying to me, but before we go any further, like I also date men, so you should also want to bring that into the equation. This girl straight up was like, I have a friend who's into you, so we can all do this.
Oh, it backfired. Backfired. Oh.
And I don't even know what I did to get myself.
The episode
out
of Seinfeld where they try and switch roommates all over again.
Yeah, I can't remember what I did to get myself out of that situation. But the crazy part was like a few weeks later, and I'm not even going to say like I'm that hot to earn a stalker or whatnot. But I kid you not, like she shows up because I was an assistant manager at GameStop at the time. She shows up at the store with an application.
Ooh.
And I was like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck? So I immediately I go tell my boss. I was like, hey, like we got an application, and can you please do me a favor? Can you just find some way to not like hire her? And he was like, why? I was like,
I spurned her advances.
Yeah. I was like, she was trying to hook up with me, and I was doing everything in my power not to get hooked up with. So less than a month later, she shows up at the store with a job application, and I think this is way too suspicious.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't get that either, LeRon, about like the psychology behind straight women. Most, not all, obviously, have a thing with like a bisexual man when. Like on the flip side, like because I'm bisexual, every time, like minus one person who he's not from this country, he's got very different cultural values, but like every single man that I have let known that I'm bisexual, they get so excited. They're like, oh, well, tell me about how when you date women. I'm like, oh, here we go. Like it's not what you think. It's not like what you see in porn. It's really not that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it seems like there's a real stigma around just bisexuality in general.
Yeah, that is true.
Square straights kind of say like, oh well, doesn't that mean you're just gay?
Yeah.
Which is patently incorrect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I have heard opinions from people who are gay, and they just say bisexuality is not a thing. It's either one or the other. You can't have both. And I'm like,
yeah. Yeah.
Yep, that's true. One time I was really hitting it off with this girl, and then she was also kind of drinking. So her questions came quick and wicked. She goes, "Have you ever fucked a woman?" And this was when I was like first realizing that I was bi. And so I was like, "No, I've been on dates with them. I just haven't gotten there yet." She goes, and she also asked, like, "Do I date guys?" I'm like, "So I'm bisexual, and I'm trying to, whatever." She goes, "Oh, well, then you're not really like into women or something." She just like walked
bisexuality is not a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm confused.
Yeah, like I like being accused of being greedy, and it's like no, like I'm like no, this is not greed. I am actually attracted to both genders. Like it's not a greed thing. So it's not one of those things where I'm trying to get it wherever I can. Like like if I could pick a lane and be good with it, yeah, I would do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that or like, oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, just real quick. Like, I also get the assumption that I'm more likely to cheat because I'm bisexual. I'm like, no, that doesn't increase the odds of me sleeping with someone.
One thing I hear a lot from women is that me being a bisexual man means I up their risk of catching a disease.
Man.
And that's when you can chuck them in the fucking bucket.
Oh yeah. For real. Like you're not worth my time. I don't even know why I even entertained the idea. I'm sorry.
Have you guys ever been in a situation where like somebody tells you that you're gonna like go on like a date, like a blind date almost, and you like you're hanging out and this other the person that you're supposed to go with straight up looks at you and just says no?
I've only been on one blind date in my life, and we hit it off, but we just weren't compatible enough to like go the next step.
Yeah. No, I've been on 2 blind dates. One was really weird, and one the girl just looked at me and straight up just said no and left. I'm like, dang.
Wow.
I didn't even say hello to you, person.
That's so rude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awkward.
Here's one for you. Before I moved from Iowa to Philly, I drove a semi for Pepsi. My route was basically the southern half of Iowa. And in one of the restaurants I delivered to, the woman, I think the woman who owned it, I don't remember if she owned it herself or if it was like she and her husband bought it. I just knew the husband was sort of out of the picture for whatever reason. But I remembered the picture of her daughter because I was in a class with her when I was in college the first time. And I'm like, her name's Lindsay, right? I think I'm just throwing out a name there because I don't remember this woman's name anymore. And she's like, yeah, that's my daughter. I'm like, I was in a class with her at Des Moines Area Community College. She's like, oh, she went there. I'm like, oh, okay, so whatever. Then eventually, a year later, like, she's like, hey, would you be interested in dating my daughter? I'm like, okay. And then get to the date, and the daughter goes, oh, I remember you. You're not the person in my class that I thought my mom was talking about.
Ooh.
I'm like, oh. I'm like, I just said, well, I've never struck out without swinging, I guess. I don't understand. I mean, do you want a drink? She's like, nah, I think I'm going to go. I'm like, cool. And then I went home, and I think I played Grand Theft Auto for whatever reason.
Oh, man.
So what do you think is better, to kind of say no, maybe a little less rudely in the beginning, or sit through a date just to be nice, but obviously don't lead the person on at the end of the date? I don't know. Do you think there's a better answer?
I think theoretically there's a right answer, and you could argue the abstract point, but I've actually had the awkward first date somehow gotten the second, and the second date been amazing.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's the story of my wife and I.
Oh, yeah.
So
I've had a couple of the survived the bad first date and got to the second date. Well, not the bad first date, but more like survived the mediocre first date and got a second date, and usually the second date was initiated by the other person, but there's been one time where I was like, you know what, I just feel like something was off that day, so I tried again. I was like, hey, like, I'm not sure if we got off on the right foot the last time, so you want to try it again, and so I've gotten accepted, one time for that, but I've had second dates that were initiated by the other people when I was like, man, they're not gonna fucking want to see me again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that awkward first date, I met my wife online dating, and so I had been I had originally gotten catfished on the first girl I met. So like, I'll tell that story on a different day, but the second, but I thought about like, not online dating, and like, well, the worst thing had just happened. There's Bagel. Hi, Bagel. Your nose is a little bit wider than it used to be.
Yeah, he's old.
Yeah.
He's 14. Well, almost 14.
You handsome little old fart.
He's a crotchety old man. He wants me to go to bed.
But I went on this first date with this girl, and she was really nice, and I think we had a good time, and we kind of had that talk of like, hey, are we, at the end of the date, we were like, are we compatible or not? And she was like, I like you. I think we should go on a second date to see if this is really like worth pursuing. I said, okay, yeah, let's try it. And I was like, and I kind of had the same feeling, but like, I also felt like she was like really nice, and I wanted to like try, a second date or whatever. And then like, I was kind of like, it's gonna sound bad, like planting the seeds in case this one didn't work out. And, and I started talking to another girl, and I ended up canceling the second date with this other girl to go on a first date with this other girl. And this other girl ended up being my wife. So.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So that was a good ending, I guess, to a awkward kind of situation.
Gives me hope though, because I'm really sick of online dating. It really sucks now.
I'm so glad that I don't have to date anybody anymore. I feel so bad for you, Stephanie. I'm sorry.
Dating in general is awful. It sucks.
Yeah.
I completely sympathize. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad like I'm in a relationship right now, because God, like it was rough. I've never been catfished, thank God. I think I kind of know like the warning signs of getting catfished, but I did wind up like starting to like talk to somebody, and like the person just came off completely fake, so it was like a reverse catfish, because like what I saw was actually what was being presented, but like in the dating process found out that like this guy just had like the complete opposite personality from what he put up on the dating while we were chatting on the dating site.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Dating stories, so much fun.
Yeah.
Have you ever been asked out on a date and didn't know it was a date, and then you brought a date to the date?
No, sounds like an awkward fucking date there, sir.
Yeah.
I mean, that happened to me once.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay, to be fair, it was like a group of people. First of all, I went to a John Mayer concert at this date, so that was
big mistake.
Oh.
So so this girl that I worked with, I actually like I really like liked her, and we were kind of into the same things, and her friend straight up told me that she wasn't into me. So I was like, okay, well, if you're telling me like I'm not going to pursue this, I'm just not, right? So she got like a big bulk group of tickets to see John Mayer, and she was like, "Hey, do you want to come to this concert? Do you want to come with me to this concert?" She was like, I'm going with a group of friends. Like, I really want you to go with me. I think it'll be fun. I said, okay. She was like, do you know anybody that might want to go? Because I have an extra ticket. And I was like, I don't really know anybody. But then I texted her. I'm like, hey, I found someone who could go with us. I'm just, gonna bring this person. And it was a girl that I had kind of been talking to, but not really. But I thought it might be fun to go to a concert with her, because that's what you did back then in the before times when we were allowed to go places. And turns out she texted me after the concert. She was like, I didn't realize you were bringing a date. I thought you were going to be there with me. And I'm like,
oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I was like, I felt so bad.
Whoops.
It's weird how relationships can begin and end with poor communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were kind of young and still kind of like dumb and didn't understand how to ask people out. That was just weird. But
that was rough.
Yeah, it was weird. But like during the concert, she didn't like say anything, but also she didn't say anything to me.
Yeah.
So that probably should have been a sign. That's just me. Whoops.
No, I think that's more her.
Yeah.
So that was awkward.
Yes. I met John Mayer once. He's a dick.
I heard that. Yeah.
I've heard that.
Yeah, but he's a hell of a guitar player.
I'm not commenting on his guitar skills.
No, I know.
He was just a stone cold douchebag.
Yeah.
I used to work at Tower Records in Philly, and one morning I got to work because they opened at like 8 a.m, and they would be open till midnight at night, and I had to be there at 7, so I stopped at a food truck to get a breakfast sandwich, and I could get to work. I have similar headphones to these on. I'm listening to my CD Walkman because iPods had not come out yet, and
remember Walkmans? Remember CDs?
Yeah, those are great.
Cassette tapes.
So I get downstairs to where I can eat, and I start eating, and manager just taps me on the shoulder and goes, "Yo, John Mayer is here." So just kind of be on good behavior. Don't be on typical ratchet ass store employee behavior. And I'm like, all right, fine. So I'm eating my breakfast sandwich and drinking my coffee, and John sits across from me with his two buddies that I guess are his entourage. And I'm just I'm like, I don't care about this guy. Fucking body is a wonderland. Piss off. And he taps the table because he sees me looking at it, just keeping my head down. And I look up and he goes, like, remove your headphones. And he's like, I just told a joke and you didn't laugh. Am I not funny? I'm like, I have headphones on. I didn't hear your joke. And he's like, well, these two laughed because I'm fucking funny. And I'm like, that's good.
He literally said that?
Wow.
Yeah. Like,
that doesn't surprise me, though.
I'm like,
yeah, it doesn't. Yeah.
I'm like, you're kind of an asshole, dude. But
wow. I know. I feel like I shouldn't be surprised, but like my naive brains can't comprehend how people can be that sucky.
I mean, I think like there's a thing going around on TikTok. Bagel, chill, please.
That damn TikTok.
There's where come here, boy, come here.
Does he just want attention?
He's just whining. Yeah, he's like, hey, it's 11:30. You need to be in bed, bud, because you got to be up for work in the morning. And I'm like, I'm an adult, Bagel. I'm gonna do what I want. No, I'm gonna do what I want, and you can't ground me, Bagel. So I think there's a thing going on about the Beatles, about how everyone like gets, who's their favorite Beatle or whatever, and then everyone wants to talk about how bad how bad John was to the people who think John's the best Beatle, how bad Paul was. Dude, the Beatles were fucking shitty individuals. Like, they were, I mean, that's because from a very young age, they were very popular and not a lot of people said no to them. So they didn't really have to be, there was probably very little accountability from a young age. And I don't know how that is for John Mayer, but like, I imagine, really, dude? Really, dude?
Maybe he's just agreeing with you. He's very...
He might be. That might be fair, but he's also getting a little sassy right now. You being a sassy bagel?
Mm-hmm.
I know it's Boss Rush After Dark, but that doesn't mean you need to bring the attitude, okay? Yeah, I love you too, boy. But yeah, I mean, it can't be any different than an American sports player on a rookie contract. Just all of a sudden, no one's going to say no because they're a rookie and they have a ton of money when they came from having not a lot.
Yeah,
but,
makes sense.
Privilege is funny, huh?
Yeah.
Right? And it's
real.
actually very unbecoming, but they have very little self-awareness about that.
And it's actually a very real thing, despite some people saying it's not. 2022, am I right, y'all?
Yeah.
Word.
I know, Bagel. 2022.
Well, I
Gotta
guess
get better, right?
I guess it's Bagels tucking you in. I guess that's our sign.
Hang on, he left. I probably have a couple minutes now.
I mean,
okay,
oh man, God, this is a good night.
Yeah.
he's just staring at me, judging now.
To be fair, everybody that looks
Hang
at you
on.
is judging you.
Probably. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
That's fine. No, I like this. It was nice and light and
Yeah.
funny. I mean, there's just so much that can go wrong in the dating scene, and I never
Yeah.
thought I'd see myself get back in there, and I swear it's worse than when I dated pre-marriage. But whatever.
I swear, it seems like when you go back in, it gets worse every time because I mean, let me see. Before I met my boyfriend, let me see. I was actually out of a relationship for 4 years, and it took me almost that much time to even like get back into the idea of dating. But also, I was still processing, because the last breakup, in my opinion, was bad. It wasn't like we were just toxic and just like mean to each other and whatnot. It was just one of those situations where it was like I got dumped and it was completely out of the blue. I thought everything was fine.
Oh,
Yeah, so
Those are the worst.
Yeah, so I wound up spending a lot of that time like before like I got to my current relationship, just processing like what was going on, like where were all my flaws and deficiencies and stuff were at, and trying to figure out how to work on that stuff. So like the next relationship I get in, because I like the way like we see people as like basically when you're dating somebody is like a job interview, like it's basically you're basically setting up your marriage portfolio and stuff like that. And that's honestly the way I was trying to look at it, especially like once I got into my 30s. But yeah, getting I got the last 2 relationships I were in, I got dumped. And it was one of those situations I was like, okay, I'm getting tired of this shit. What the fuck is wrong with me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, when somebody, I don't know, I've only broken up with like one person, I think, in my entire dating career, like in terms of like serious relationships. And every time you get dumped, it just feels like you just kind of fall into that trap of like, what's wrong with me,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even when you realize like, when you get into your next relationship and you realize what like a good relationship is, like there's nothing wrong with you. It just didn't work. And you guys ended up fighting about it because you didn't understand how to tell each other correctly of how,
For real.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know. I've said this a 1,000 times before this, and I'm going to probably say it 1,000 more at least. But like my wife really saved me from a lot of that, and just feeling how I felt about myself, and that just when you find the right person, you might not be compatible in every way, right? Which not every, you shouldn't be like 1,000% compatible, right? I think differences make you unique, and everybody needs their own thing and whatever, but in the ways that are important, like it really makes you look at yourself differently. And it just says, I don't know what I would be doing without my wife, but I certainly wouldn't be where I'm at today, So.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here, man. I'm glad you're all here.
You know what, Matt? I'm
real.
glad you're here. So glad you're here.
It's been a long time since I've heard those words.
I know.
Actually, Matt, it was wonderful meeting you, man.
Yeah.
Likewise.
I don't know, like the way the conversation rolled out and everything, it feels like we're all old friends here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Matt's easy to get along with, so it's not, can't cop. Don't boost his ego that much, man. He's just gonna go around.
You say that now. You say that now.
His beautiful head of hair is gonna start.
Stephanie, that was not the way he was talking like before we got Matt on.
What was he saying? What was he saying?
Actually, no. Like
let's blame Corey. Let's throw him under a bus. It's fine.
Actually, our buddy Corey here was just really nervous about how the night was going to go. That was all. Nah, there was no bad words.
No.
So okay, you know what? Before we get out of here, I'm gonna we're gonna have a brief little chat, even though it might not be all that brief. When Corey and I stopped doing Nerds Gone Rogue, I don't think it was anything between Corey and I that needed to end. When I think we had trajectories that we were on, and there was going to come a point that they were going to naturally break apart. And I saw that coming. I don't know if Corey, I don't know if you saw that coming, but I saw there was, because let's be real. I was not up to your standard of work that you put into Nerds Gone Rogue. You put a lot into Nerds Gone Rogue, and a lot of that was going against everything I was telling you to not burn yourself out.
Somebody still makes that mistake.
Yes, he still does. And I've been checking in on him in the 2 years since. I'll be like, don't burn yourself out. He's like, no, I'm not. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Show number 17.
Yeah, exactly.
in 9 days.
5 podcasts this week. I'm going to finish Guardians of the Galaxy, I swear.
I am going to finish. By the time this episode comes out, I probably will have finished it, maybe.
Sure. But there was just a natural sort of, there was going to come a point where I was more of a weight on Corey than a help. And there was also, there were some external things that I'm not going to get into because there are people involved that aren't here, and they can speak to their piece, and that's okay. All of that is valid. I mean, do I miss Nerds Gone Rogue? Oh, hell yes. Do I miss talking with Corey? Oh, hell yes. And I know that he and I, over the past couple of years, like on Discord or when I was still on Facebook Messenger or whatever, we would talk and be like, hey, you should come on. And fine. And then it just never really materialized. I'm glad it's finally materialized now, because I miss that backwards hat wearing motherfucker.
Yeah.
He's such a lovable guy. You all know.
I thought about actually making this my topic tonight, honestly.
Okay.
But I was like, well, I don't want to have this really weird, awkward conversation with, I'm gonna be honest with you, Matt. When
Ex-wife with the new posse. Yeah,
well,
no, I know.
no, like
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I actually I actually wrote a piece about this on Boss Rush about a year and a half ago called My Lessons from Failure. It's called I'm Sorry, My Lessons from Failure. And it's all about how it's my side of how things ended with Nerds Gone Rogue mixed with what I learned from that situation and how I feel like a lot of the things I was doing, I was in the wrong, and how I grew from those experiences for Boss Rush.
Right.
And
I remember when you wrote it because I've read it.
Yeah. So that night that we everything kind of ended, I cried the whole night.
Me too.
The whole night.
Me too.
Because I feel like not just me, but everybody had put so much work into it. And like, this was before I kind of realized like I had my head stuck up my own ass the whole time, like probably the last 6 months of it, trying to build something that, was bigger than any of us could handle. But I was so fucking stubborn and just kind of being a dick about it and not a very good communicator about it, which is, I know that's probably why, I 99% sure that's why Nerds Gone Platinum ended. And then when it came down to just Nerds Gone Rogue and POW Block, like I felt like I was doing so much wrong, and then to make up for the wrong, I was doing more wrong. And then, when Moose and I kind of got into it, and then, then that's on me being stubborn. I've realized that, and I've thought about 1,000 times reaching out to him at some point and just apologizing, and I never have. And that's just a cowardly thing for me, I think, to an extent. But like when it ended, man, I didn't want to do this ever again. Like I literally did not want to do this ever again because I felt like it didn't feel like things were ending. It felt like a breakup, like a real breakup.
It very much did.
And it, like it was one of like top 5 worst nights of my life, which is saying something because there's been a few nights that have been devastating, but like I hadn't really had.
You told me about some of them.
Yeah. Oh, I've told one of those stories on the show a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
But I don't know. And ever since then, like it took me a while to even work up the courage to talk to you again.
Yeah.
Because there was a good 6 months where we didn't talk, probably at least.
We didn't talk consistently. And I knew that like and I'd said this the night that, we talked, and I said, look, this isn't us not being friends anymore. This isn't us, never working together again. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember the complete text of what I said because this was all done I think this was all done on Facebook Messenger. Mm-hmm. And I have long since deleted that from my phone, and I'm not on Facebook anymore, and life is kind of better.
Yeah, I wish I could quit. Well, if it wasn't for Messenger, I would have already been gone. But the fact that if you have Messenger but you had Facebook originally, like when you get rid of Facebook, you lose Messenger. I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but when this happened, like the one thing I always knew, despite what other folks would say, is that you and I were going to be buds. Because that's kind of how it started. Mm-hmm. Is we had known each other from other communities, interacted, and then I started watching DNA and would I think I was on a couple of DNA shows before we started that thing with Todd that eventually blossomed into Nerds Gone Rogue. And I knew that like we clicked and we were going to be friends. And I wanted to make sure, I mean, honestly, if I'm going to say this, this is a very similar reason to why things with my first wife ended. I knew we could stay together and hate each other eventually, or we could part ways and still be friends, and I wanted to still be friends with you. I don't want you out of my life. That's why like during, peak pandemic season, I'm like, yo, you and your family good? I know, because I know, if I remember correctly, healthcare is in your family, especially working around elderly. And if you don't know anything about the pandemic, it runs through the elderly pretty easily. And I've seen a lot of folks die from it. And I just wanted to make sure that you guys were good. Want to make sure. I mean, this was at the time. I wanted to make sure Riley was good. And now you have another one. You crazy bastard.
I know. Yeah. At first, I really felt like it's hard to explain how I felt because like so when I kind of realized things were ending before you messaged me, I kind of wrote out a plan. I'm like, okay, we're going to hit a big reset button here because I had a feeling that like after the confrontation that Moose and I had, I was like, well, he's probably going to quit because I know he just doesn't care for what I just said to him. Right.
Sure.
Or, what he said to me, like that's not, important. But I'm like, Matt and I can still do this. I think we can still be friends. I think we can just have the 2-man show. We can kind of continue. And I just like all the stupid stuff I had been doing. I'm just like, I just need to hit a reset button. And this should just be like, we're 2 friends hanging out and we're going to podcast together. And I was like, that's it. I shouldn't try to do anything else. I shouldn't try to do more than I could. And at the time I had a PC that died and a laptop that couldn't handle what I wanted to do also, which was very frustrating. And then we were moving, which was also very frustrating. It was like the perfect storm of shit. Right. And then when
burn yourself out, Corey. That's what that is.
No, it wasn't even that. It was like,
yes, it was. I love you, man, but it totally was.
Here's like I had just like when man.
You can't even say it.
Look.
No, I just let me get this. Just let me get this out, and
Go
then
ahead.
we can kind of.
Oh God, he's stubborn. He's so stubborn.
You got this. I believe in you. Come on.
I was really hurt that night that it ended.
Sure.
And like I didn't know really who I was without you. I mean, I had my wife and I had I had my family and stuff, but like I felt like I just like lost a brother and like one of my best friends. And like I was so I was mad and I didn't understand at the time,
Sure. That's fine. All of that's valid, man. All of that's valid.
And like when I finally came to terms with what happened, and like I knew like Ed and Jesse still wanted to podcast and stuff together, and like honestly, when this all started, I did it for them. I didn't want to do it, and I told Ed this like a long time ago. I didn't want to do this.
Right.
When it started, and I did it for them, and I always just felt like probably, honestly, until Celeste and LeRon joined. A little bit after that was when I really felt like I was kind of having fun with it again. You know, I stuck around because like I knew I liked to do things, and like I knew if I stopped that I wouldn't. I mean, you always say like, you know, when things end or whatever, when something ends or whatever, you say you're going to be friends still, and but like I honestly, like, after Nerds Gone Rogue ended, like Ed and Jesse were like really all I had left out of that, and like I didn't want to lose them either.
Sure.
So selfishly, I just kind of like used it as a way to hang out with friends that I had made along the way. You know, and like in my opinion, I felt like there was like a clear line of people who followed us, and this was at the time. I don't know how true it is, ever was or is or whatever, but there was like a clear line of people who went and followed you guys and then went and followed us, right?
Sure.
You know.
Yeah. No. 100%.
And like, because like, since Nerds Gone Rogue ended, I haven't talked to like. There's people that we used to have on the show all the time that I haven't talked to since it ended. You know, I'm not going to say any names.
If it makes you feel any better, I haven't talked to those people either.
Yeah.
Everybody just sort of grew apart.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm sure this is great for you guys to listen to.
No, look.
But no.
Sorry, Stephanie and LeRon.
I know.
No, it's cool actually. No.
Yeah.
We've never really had this conversation, and I feel like it's good for both of us. It feels like it's good for Corey too.
I almost wanted to, like, I was going to bring it up tonight, and I was like, no, because I think this would be a really unique 1v1 conversation.
Oh yeah, it'd be a great 1v1 conversation.
But since we're here and we're doing it, but yeah, I loved you, man. Like, and like this, as I don't want LeRon and Stephanie to take this the wrong way, but like this podcasting and creating things just never felt the same without you.
Same, man.
Aww.
And like, you know, I wanted to have you on the show so many times, and like I know it never really worked out. And then I was like, even last night when we recorded Standard Definition, I was like,
you were a nervous wreck. you were visibly nervous. I felt I wanted to reach to the screen and hug you. I'm like, yo, well, I never left. I'm still here. I know it didn't work out the way we wanted it to, but I'm still here.
I know, and it just like, and like even after this is the third show that we've done together now since then, and it's like, this is the first time I've felt at ease with us moving forward in 2.5, 3 years. What was it? November of 2019.
November of 2019. Well, I mean, it also so like, and like you said, we're on very different sides of that. Like, I honestly, like, I knew that ultimately, like, I was going to keep podcasting. But I also knew that with the way my life was going, and for the folks who don't know, like, I'm married. We've been trying to increase our family, and we can't really do that through traditional means. So I've been having to deal with a lot of that. Working in healthcare. I mean, the pandemic sort of took the world by storm, and it's still kind of going, in case you haven't, regardless of where you stand on that. And ultimately, like, I knew that there was really only so much I could do in terms of what I believed Nerds Gone Rogue was. Not necessarily for you, because it's not. It was our thing.
Yeah.
But what it was as a complete entity, that's probably the way I want to go. And I knew that I knew that at some point it was going to, because really in the beginning of my podcast, Story Route Zero, we had 4 folks, and one of those folks left because of who I kept as friends. And that, I think, is kind of shitty. Like,
yeah, I remember that.
I do not care. I mean, as long as you're not, surrounding yourself with people filled with hate, like, I'm usually pretty, like, just live and let live. But this person decided that because I had a nice conversation on Twitter with Corey, like, couldn't work with me anymore. And I'm like, we don't really work anyway. We're just talking. I mean, we were just talking about video games. Like, that was really it. And, for this person, it was a problem that Corey and I were still friends. And they had a picture in their mind of how things went with Nerds Gone Rogue, and I felt that that picture was inaccurate. And hence, I don't talk to them anymore. Because you don't come into my house, kick my dog, and get a bucket full of brownie points. Now, when there was a while back that Sean Capri was gracious enough to have me on his show, and he and we recorded, didn't really talk about Nerds Gone Rogue a whole lot there, but he asked me about it. He's like, so what's the deal there? I'm like, look, Corey and I are still friends. Like, no, to my knowledge, nobody stabbed anybody in the back. In fact, if anything, I probably hurt Corey because I was the one that pulled the trigger. I'll admit that. Never shied away from that. But I also had my reasons, and my reasons were I didn't feel going forward I was going to be as good a teammate as Corey deserved. Corey has found that in y'all, and I've enjoyed watching you all do your thing. That's why I'm still in the Discord. I also I'm in the writers section of that, and I was approached like, who are you and how did you get here? I'm like, I'm friends with Corey. We did Nerds Gone Rogue for a while, and he's like, oh, you want to be on the writing team? I'm like, I can't commit to that. But nobody kicked me out, so now you're just now that you have a face, you're just stuck with me for a while. But I've always like tried to. I could have reached out more than I did, sure. I will try and do that in the future because. Like, I was talking to Reba before I came on here. It was just like, and I was just, Reba's looking at me. She's like, you have this doofy smile as you're eating. What's going on in your head? I'm like, I'm quoting Indiana Jones in my head. And she's like, and that's funny. I'm like, yes, because that's what Corey and I do all the time. And she's like, oh, you're excited. I'm like, yeah. Corey's one of my buds. Like, and she knows. She remembers like when all 4 of us got together in Philly, and she and Sana goes, "Wow, look at these 2 gigantic children just having a good time." Yeah. So yeah, no, Corey. I know that. I know that we didn't end up here the way we wanted, but I'm glad we're here today.
Yeah.
And if I were in Ohio, I would knock on your door and give you a hug that lifts you off the ground, just like I did in Philly.
You did do that. That was impressive, by the way, because I was a lot bigger than.
I lifted that motherfucker off the ground.
Which was impressive because I was a lot bigger than.
You were.
But
you were.
I
love you, man. I mean, I'm always gonna love you.
I do. So before we wrap this happy little segment up, No, right before. I think it was right after the Pride panel that LeRon was on, that first one, and we were Ed and I were talking about bringing more people in. I mean, we had this conversation when we started, but it wasn't serious because, like, sure. I mean, we didn't really know what we were doing after Nerds Gone Rogue ended. We just knew we wanted to do stuff together. And the Boss Rush podcast wasn't even called the Boss Rush podcast until like 6 months in. And we were just like, we had different people in and out, and co-hosting with us.
It got weird for y'all real early.
Yeah. And we were like, we got to do something. And like the first conversation me, Ed, and Jesse had was like, our platform we have to be better. Be better. Because like, and then I, long story short, I told Ed, I was like, I don't feel like I was being who I should have been as a leader with Nerds Gone Rogue. I really didn't. I didn't communicate well. I didn't let anybody do anything or help me, and it overloaded me, and it just like, it became this big burden that I was trying to lift off of everybody else and trying to make us something that I think we should have had a conversation about. And so I was like, look, guys, before we bring anybody on, we have to have this conversation of, this is our platform. We have to be better. Personally, I have to be better than I was on Nerds Gone Rogue. We have to be better. We have to put everybody else first. We have to communicate with those people. We have to make sure that if we're going to hand off responsibility to people, that they A, want it, and B, don't feel overwhelmed and feel obligated and feel like they're here because they have to be. And all these different things we had this huge conversation about. And, first we brought on Celeste and LeRon were the first two. And then I think Logan down the road and Austin. And now, a year and a half later, this is where we're at, and we came up with a good routine for the Boss Rush podcast. We came up with new shows that people enjoyed being on. We came up with shows that, I didn't have to be on all the time, because remember on Nerds Gone Rogue, I felt like I had to be on everything and do everything. And it, I mean, that's what I wrote 2 years ago is the foundation of what we are now. And like our experience together is the foundation for that. Yeah. So I do miss it. I would sure. I would be lying if I said I didn't miss at least Nerds Gone Rogue, that show in particular.
I mean, when you started putting them back up to where like they I could listen to them again, like I've cried a bit listening to that show.
And then Anchor deleted it because every episode started with song lyrics, and apparently that's not allowed. So yet I do a show where there's music clips. Yeah, I don't know.
Don't delete me, Anchor.
Yeah, but I'm really glad you're here, and I hope you come back more often.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
Of course I'll come back.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't mind acting. I don't mind acting ratchet in front of friends.
Yeah. So, sorry for that. Long-winded second topic, I guess.
Oh, look, I'm gonna say this. Regardless of how it comes off, that was a conversation that I think needed to happen. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Corey. I did it on purpose. You want to know why? Because I knew neither of us were going to have the balls to do it over Messenger. Neither of us were going to do it.
I know.
Because unless we're in the same room together, you and I are kind of just chickens.
I know.
We both really are.
Yeah. But I mean, this conversation is going to jumpstart some conversations I should probably have with other people involved with that too. And whether they respond or not, that's their, prerogative. But I still feel like I should at least apologize to some and at least reach out and,
Sure, and that's fine. But
especially Moose. You know, he's the one that I feel the worst about, and I've always felt the worst about. I mean, to this day, I still feel the worst about it.
I'm going to say this because I'm a big believer in this tactic. Do it when you're ready, not because you think you should.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because when you're ready, it doesn't matter what that response is.
Yeah.
If you're not ready, that response could cause you to spiral. And I don't want you to spiral because I will drive to Ohio. I will find Baker Mayfield and bring him to your house.
That'd be cool. I have his jersey on my chair.
I know. I saw.
So.
I will say this. I've been watching the Browns ever since. I'm like, wow, they're actually getting good.
Yeah, it's sad when an 8-9 season is disappointing.
Yeah, right?
Means they're getting better.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done.
At least they're not the
right
Bears.
What?
All right, you guys done hugging it out now?
For now, I guess.
Oh, I'm sorry. We keeping you from something, LeRon?
No.
His boyfriend probably texted him. He's like, "What are you wearing?" He's like, "Sleeves."
He texted me that he was tired of waiting for me. He's already in bed.
Oh.
Yeah, it's okay.
Do you want me to text you, LeRon?
Boy,
It's okay. He's got a long hard day, like teaching college students tomorrow. So let him do his thing.
Oh, okay.
He needs it.
Yeah, he needs his rest.
There, LeRon, just to make you feel better.
Oh, hey, Corey, you're on the filter. You get past my do not disturb. So,
Ooh, special after hours privileges for LeRon.
Oh.
He discords LeRon. I'm wearing a backwards hat and nothing else.
Oh my God, LeRon, get us out of here.
LeRon's like, I do it all for the nookie.
Oh yeah. All right, everyone. Well, this has been Boss Rush After Dark, the alternative podcast of the flagship show for Boss Rush Network. We'd like to thank you all for tuning in tonight and listening to the show. Thanks to you, Matt. Like, man, it was amazing meeting you tonight. I think this is an experience like Stephanie and myself for sure are not going to forget. And yes, please come back.
Yeah.
We feel like you are one of the family. Like you're honorary Boss Rush as far as we're concerned.
I would love to come back as long as schedules permit.
Yeah.
As long as schedules permit, I will do so.
Yeah, don't be a stranger. Like, loan your voice and personality to the show anytime you feel like it. As we always do before we head out, we're gonna go ahead and plug ourselves, and we're gonna start with you, Matt, because you are the honorary bro for the night.
I need to find a. Oh, you meant what I do. I thought I was going to do another kind of plug.
Oh God.
Oh, we'll save.
You
that
can
for
find
another
me
episode.
everywhere, plugging or unplugging at _rewind on Twitter. I co-host 3 other podcasts. One is called Story Route Zero. We talk about games we're playing. Another is called Trivial Merit, where my buddy Caroline and I talk about music and make playlists to try and make us and any listener feel better. We do it in 8 songs from an artist or a genre, and the extremes of the emotions are caused by dice rolls. She writes for Popular Mechanics. She's super smart, so listen to her. She rules. The third podcast I do is Freereeling It, where my buddy Jesse and I talk about film. We pick one film per show and go deep, and then we also talk about other stuff we may have watched or enjoyed along the way. Those come out every 2 weeks. They are about to start recording because I have been on break for the holiday season. Take your breaks. They're good for you.
Yeah, definitely. Stephanie, you're up.
Why do I feel like you're all looking at me?
Because I am looking at you.
Because we are. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Klimov, KLIMOV _author, and articles on bossrush.net. and co-hosting Boss Rush podcast Wednesday nights.
All right, Corey.
You can find me at I am Corey in HD on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me hosting the Boss Rush podcast and Arsenal X, the Xbox podcast, as well as sharing hosting duties for Standard Definition.
As well as.
Yeah, I know. As well as After Dark.
He said duty.
Mhm.
All right, and as always, you can find me at Exodus803 on social media, as well as Twitch and YouTube, and also that is my gamer tag. So don't forget it, EXODUS803. Tuesday nights, I'm the host of Crossroads PlayStation Podcast for Boss Rush Network. That goes down on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Exodus803, every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless we decide we need to take a break. And, of course, I'm one of the personalities here behind the Boss Rush podcast, and, of course, Boss Rush After Dark. Come back and join us for our next installment of Boss Rush After Dark, where we will be back to cover more topics that aren't completely content appropriate for our other anchor shows. We love you all, and I'm going to lead us out with a slogan from Boss Rush, which is, play games, be better. Take care of yourselves out there. We love you. Yeah.
Why is it the white guys that always have the knives?
Right?
Because I have them too.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Guns for show,
night.
knives
Night.
for bro.